Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I'm Shelby Parchman, and I am going to talk today about crafting a winning holiday marketing campaign strategy. And my subtitle is Generating Sales for an Even Happier Holiday, which I know most business owners are really looking forward to doing. And we all know, and guess it should be a known fact, that the holidays really represent the majority of sales for a lot of businesses. So for me, it's very important that we get this right. So we can make sure that we maximize our revenue, but also think about how do we maximize our profitability and also our return on whatever investments that we make, whether it's in purchasing products, adding on more people, spending additional amount of money on marketing. It's just a lot of things that really go into the holiday marketing scheme. And as we go through it, and I'll just kind of lay it out as we go through it. But, one of the things that we really have to think about is, marketing is marketing, but the holidays also represent something a little different in terms of the perspectives because people change during the holidays. Some who are really grouchy and grumpy during the year, they tend to spend more money around the holidays. And then those who are like really like to spend, they can turn into a Scrooge during the holidays. So the question is, how do we reach those people who are really looking to spend those dollars during the holiday campaign times? And hold on one. Okay, so just for a quick introduction, I know some of you may be regulars and may have heard me speak before, but for those who don't, have not heard me speak and who don't know me, I'm Shelby Parchman, and I'm the managing partner of InUrban Strategies, which is a consulting firm. And we do a lot of work around the city of Chicago in four key areas. One is strategic planning. We also help nonprofits with program development, delivery. We work with a lot of individuals who are looking to obtain capital for their businesses. Usually, they're trying to establish a brick and mortar presence, or they need an SBA loan. And then for a lot of our clients, we also offer back office support, whether it be marketing, bookkeeping, website development, just a lot of things that our staff does. And it's really dependent on our individual clients. And so we have a lot of clients that we work with and a lot of key projects, and I'll just lay some of them out to you just to give my resume and the resume of my organization. We've been working for years now with Rush University Medical Center and helping them identify small businesses for procurement opportunities at the hospital and the university center. And we've been quite successful in helping them kind of move the needle in terms of serving the community, small businesses a lot more. We do operations consulting for a beef jerky manufacturing company, there's Green Meadows Foods, and really help them come up with a plan to become more profitable. Really through operations and developing leaner manufacturing techniques. Then I'll just go down from the right. It's the Good Food Catalyst, which is a nonprofit organization, which we have not only helped with operations planning, but has really revamped their program development and delivery to really focus more on underserved and under-resourced communities in the Chicago area. And then our most recent and newest project is we're working with some high net worth individuals to develop out a innovative, different workforce development uh, program, and just kind of taking a look at workforce development from a slightly different fashion than most workforce development organizations do. So we've did the same thing in terms of designing a innovative program and then helping deliver and implement that programming and to collect data and to make sure that it's very successful. And my background is I started my career as a scientist, so I'm really data driven. But then I caught the entrepreneurship bug, and from that point on, I use science as as more of my foundation. But I enjoy not only creating small businesses, but also helping those who are looking to start a small business, who are in a small business, and looking to grow. And so every presentation I uh, give, I like to start with a burning question. And the question that I hope that everyone has some type of answer to when they leave. And today's burning question is, how do I successfully compete for holiday dollars. And there are a lot of dollars out there to compete for. And I would love that everybody walked away with at least some ideas in terms of how to compete for those holiday dollars. And with any presentation I give, I like to also, excuse me, let me jump back here for a second. My hand got kind of stuck on the button. So I like to look at what are our key outcomes and what are we here for today. And my initial and first desire and foremost desire is that everyone leaves this presentation with some ideas that will aid in the design of a blueprint for your holiday marketing campaign. And you know, every business is different, and so we want to make sure that whatever campaign that we come up with, that we ideas that I give you, could be tailored to your small business. And as I go through this presentation, I'm also not only give you tips, but I'm going to also ask the audience to actually share some of their experiences in the chat box. Marketing is different for different businesses, and I certainly would be interested to see how others approach this and use this more of as a collaborative learning environment. Also, just I can really don't mind giving you my ideas, which we've have implemented in a lot of our businesses, but others can also share some of their ideas as well. And usually in this webinar format is a lot different than being in person where folks can raise their hands. But at times I'll give prompts and throw some ideas and some suggestions or some experiences that you have in the chat box to share with others. We'll look at multi-channel marketing tactics. Really, and once again, most small businesses should be doing this already. The approach to holidays are slightly different because you the messaging has to resonate a little differently, and so we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of how would you craft a message that will resonate to more of the holiday sales as opposed to just your everyday sales schemes. And then lastly, once again, since I love to be data driven, I want to talk a little bit about how you measure and optimize your campaign successes. And I do that with every program, every project that we work with. We have to have some type of return on investment. In a lot of instances, and once again, we'll get to this in a little more detail, but most people like to measure success in dollars, but you can't always measure success in dollars. And since we work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, sometimes success has to be measured in different types of outcomes. It's not measured in dollars, but it may be measured in social impact or human capital. So, and I'll give you some examples on that as well as we go through this presentation. All right. So, understanding the holiday marketing landscape, it's very important that you really know what you're up against when you're looking at the holiday marketing landscape. So we'll discuss some of the holiday marketing trends. I'll share some data with you. We'll look at some of the common challenges faced by small businesses during the holiday season. And then we'll talk a little bit about consumer behavior during the holidays. And consumer behavior to me is like one of the most important items that any business owner or anyone whose marketing should have a deeper understanding of, like how do your target market, how do they react, and what messages do they respond to. And I did a presentation on target markets, and I'm going to use a little bit of that to really explain how do you fine tune, use that type of data to really hone in on who your holiday target market is. All right, so first of all, we must understand that the holiday season is multicultural, multi-channel, multi-everything. And some of the more important holidays really stick out to us. Christmas being, when we talk holiday, most people think Christmas, but there is a lot that goes on during this whole holiday season, which I think starts August 31st and rolls all the way into February. And so you have Christmas as kind of your anchor holiday, but you have so many other celebrations and holidays that go around that. Considering that we live in a very culturally diverse city, that as a small business owner, just don't limit yourself to thinking about what people do for Christmas. Now, I'll use Christmas as an example because there is a lot of data around Christmas time and Christmas shopping because that's the biggest one, and a lot of people like to analyze that. But the tactics that we use for Christmas can apply to really any holiday season or any place else in your business. And lastly, I look at what I call the gift card season holiday because a lot of people give gift cards during the holidays, and that spending usually happens after Christmas. And that's why I say, to me, I like to extend this whole notion of holiday season all the way from August 31st well into February because people are still spending their holiday dollars. So the take home message here is really don't limit yourself to thinking just about Christmas in terms of that's a holiday, but think more globally in terms of what else is going on through this period during this period of time where you can go out and capture the attention of someone and actually make product sales. Now, when mine this is like my burning question to everyone, and it's like, are you ahead of the game, right? Because when I say that the holiday starts August 31st, most of us know that when the Labor Day holiday is over, around September 5th or something like that, we know that we can walk into a store, like I walk into Lowe's, and their Christmas stuff was already out. And so I say, if you're in this webinar and you're just thinking about your holiday game, you're in trouble. And so and at the end of this presentation, I'll give you some quick tips on how to step up that game and how to try to get back and well ahead of the game. But really, holiday marketing, you should be thinking about it in August and you should be implementing it in September. If you're waiting till November to do your holiday marketing campaign, you're in trouble. If you're just thinking about it, you still have time, but you're still behind the game. So really think about, how do I catch up? Because once again, these larger organizations, they show you how it's done. But yes, they have big marketing dollars, but the same concepts apply. You have to get ahead of the game. You have to get people thinking about it well before those holidays get there. Even in a lot of the fashion retail, most of they have to know what's going to be in trend this year to get it all produced and ready for next year. So really think about that. What are the trends that you're seeing and how I can get in front of the game in terms of my holiday marketing? And if you're ahead of the game in holiday marketing, chances are you'll get ahead of the game in holiday sales. Now, we talk about Christmas, and this is a tidbit a factoid I just added to my presentation last night as I was driving into the city, heading to a dinner last night. I'm listening to the radio, and someone was talking about Christmas spend, and the average holiday spend on Christmas gifts is $902 a person. And as a business owner, I know you want some of that $902. But then I asked myself, too, especially being a data driven person, knowing there's more to that, right? So, what about the indirect spend? So, if you think about what people do during holidays, they're spending money on gifts, but they're also spending money on decorations. They're buying new furniture. Just listen, if you look at the commercials, you'll know what people are buying during the holidays. Uh, they are purchasing a lot more food because they're serving more dinners. They're having more family over. They may be traveling more. So it's don't just limit yourself to thinking about, hey, I can develop, design, and come up and sell Christmas gifts. But there's also the other indirect spend that can amount to thousands of dollars per person that costs just to get prepared for the holiday. I was just going through my house today, and we were discussing how many trees we're going to put in the house, and uh, what type of decorations we're going to do. So that's a spend. So how many people we're going to invite over for holiday dinners, and so think about all these things in terms of as you're a business owner, and put yourself in the mind of the consumers and thinking about all these things that the consumers spend money on outside of just gifts for the holidays, and ask yourself, how can my business get a part of those dollars as well? So what are consumers buying? First of all, does I always ask myself, I ask myself the question as I'm looking at this data, is there a matchup, right? So here's what people desire on the left hand side, and lo and behold, most people, if you say picks what your top three options for what you want for Christmas, the top two is really money, for both men and women. Um, and then you start looking at what's next, clothes, right? So as you know this, then if you're a small business owner, this will probably tell you that you should be offering some type of gift card through your business, right? Because that's what people are buying. People will buy a voucher for like a massage, or or maybe dinner gift cards. So think about how you can, if cash or gift cards, and I like to equate them as being one and the same, because it's really just money that you can spend, that person, the gift recipient can spend. Then why not make sure that your business also offers something that is in the form of, say, a gift card or some type of voucher or cash? Because both men and women, they both desire that, and especially these days when people spend a lot of money on stuff for themselves anyway. It's like, what do you get the person who has everything? And usually, last time I checked, most people I've never really heard anybody say they have too much money, right? So that's probably the easiest one to give, and it comes without a whole lot of stress. And so, so to really think about that in terms of how can your business offer some type of voucher or a gift card. Clothes are popular, and then of course, as you look at men, it's more about electronics and gadgets, and women is about body care. And then as you go down, women, and these are known facts. Women read more than men read, and as you see, uh, things like electronic smartphones, tablets, and accessories for women are on the bottom of the list, but they're higher for men. So as we start thinking about like what products, what services we offer, let's just kind of think about some of these things. And then if you look at the right hand side, and it rings true. And this is for 2023. The numbers are probably very similar for 2024, but gift cards and gift certificates is the number one thing people spend money on. Then clothes. And now you look at it too, but there's also these uh, intangibles, right? That we're not really thinking about, that I talk about, the indirect stuff. People travel, people buy food, people decorate their houses. So the spending is not just on gifts, the spending is on gifts plus all the indirect things that people love to do around the holiday period. We see home improvement products and supplies. Some of that is men. We get like I think we always get like screwdriver sets and wrench sets and Allen wrench sets. But a lot of it is spent on improving the house and making the house look better for the holidays as well. So just so many things. And you look at your business and what do I offer as a business, um, and then start thinking about how you can get into this whole holiday spending trend and make the most of it. Now, at the end of the day, I know we all would have like to have this type of sales and marketing goal, and that people are in our businesses or on our websites, and they're fighting over items like this. And we've seen this too many times on Black Friday, that people are knocking each other over trying to get TVs. And this kind of reminded me. I don't know if you watched the news last week, but I think I saw the same thing happen on the west side, but it was like trains, which was kind of weird. I had this whole Christmas marketing flashback when I saw that the looting of the trains on last weekend. So, but in this instance, we know that people at the stores, they're very very excited. And how many of us really would go out to a store and like fight over a 49-inch TV, but you'd be amazed at how consumer behaviors change during the holidays. And I'm looking at this picture, and I see most people, they have smiles on their faces because they really enjoy being there, and they're very determined to get that sale. So once again, too, how do you make your stuff, your product, your services? How do you make them that viral? And And it's really not about that these are the best TVs, and they're not the biggest TVs, but it's something that through marketing, people have determined that they really gotta have this TV at this price at this time, and nothing's gonna get in their way, and they'll knock a whole lot of people over in the process. All right, so that gets down to our target market, and really, this is what is the most important part to me about understanding how to become more successful in your marketing. And I go through this exercise with a lot of small business owners, only to realize that they don't really have a clue as to who their target market is. And so, just to give you a quick definition of a target market, is really a group of customers who share some similar characteristics and are traditionally the most likely buyer of your company's product or services. What most people fail to see is like, how do you make that correlation? Once again, data driven. What do all these people have in common? A lot of times people look at the one outlier and say, well, they're my target market too. No, they're not. It's like you have 1,000 people buying something, three people who are totally different from them buying it. Those three people aren't your target market. They're they're a good sale, they're a lucky sale, they're something, but they're not your target market. And so what you want to do is look at who are most likely to buy it. And I always tell people, think about this: if you didn't have any money to get home one day and you needed money for the train and you had one product to sell, uh, who would you, if you saw someone on the street, who would that person be that you would walk up to and say, hey, I really need to sell this product when I get home? And they would say, okay, I was looking for that. I'll buy it. So, and that really how, to me, how target marketing works. It's like you should be able to pick that person out of the crowd and say, that's the person who's going to buy my product. And it takes some work to do. It takes some fine tuning to do. But once you do it, it really, the marketing becomes so much easier. And so, and then secondly, your target market really helps you understand how do you upgrade and how do what products you offer. And I always tell people, do not create a product and then go looking for a market. Create find a market and then create a product for that market. And some people say, well, that's what I did. And I say, no, you didn't do that. What you really did was you thought of a product that you felt, hey, maybe I need this product, and it's satisfying something I need and maybe other people need it. And now I'm going to go find those people. But when you start really looking about thinking about marketing, it's really where is there is an unmet need, and how do you then position your products or your services to meet that unmet need. And so now we're going to pause for like 2 seconds. And it just, to me, I always tell people, just take the time to really think about who your target market is. And, do you feel that uh, do you really have a good handle on who that is? And if so, then how do you market to them and find others like them? So just really think about that. And I think that's a really a good homework lesson, is to take some time and think about your target market. So, what is the challenge that most small business owners have, as I said, is really identifying their target market. And I could, I like to equate this to this: where's Waldo, where's Wally? And you have a bunch of people now. You're looking for a guy in a striped shirt. Since I've done this so many times, I see him right away. But that's how sometimes how difficult it is finding out who your target market is. And so, what most people do is just kind of take a shotgun approach to it, and then some people, I say, take the whack-a-mole approach. You just keep hitting, trying to hit something, hit a target, hit a moving target, hit a moving target, and then hopefully one day you'll hit the right target. That doesn't work either. I actually tried that back in August, and I learned a whole lot about the whack-a-mole target market game. But it was something more of experimental, as opposed to understand a new market, as opposed to trying to understand our current market. So, as I said, you want to find a market and then create that product or service. And so, really understanding what people are looking for in your goods or services. And I use a few examples in that respect. And I ask people a question like, what is McDonald's? How do they make their money? And a lot of people, some people say hamburgers, some people say real estate. And I said, no, McDonald's primary product is convenience and consistency, and that's why people go to McDonald's. I don't think I never thought McDonald's had a great burger, but they do have a very consistent burger, right? And it's very convenient. You go to the drive-through, you place your order, you pay for it at the window one, and then when you get to window two, the order's thrown right into your lap and you go. So if you press for time, and you're hungry, that is the place to go. I look at another popular company, Jackson Hewitt or H&R Block. Uh, are they in the tax prep? They do prepare taxes, but that's not how they make their money. And so, where they make their money is they sell refund anticipation loans, and they just happen to do taxes to get you to that point of buying their refund anticipation loans. So you have to really think about what are your target market really looking for? They are looking for something that they're looking for your product or service, but they're looking for a tangible benefit of that product or service. So really think about that. That's for like people who go to H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt. The primary benefit they're looking for is a refund anticipation loan. They're not necessarily looking for a tax preparer because they can find anyone to do their taxes in many instances for free. But if you want a refund anticipation loan and it's real easy, you go to one of those places. So just think about that. It's you're selling a product, but there's some intangibles that go into it that your market is looking for and what they desire and the benefits they're trying to get from it. And that's really what you want to sell, as opposed to saying, "Hey, I have this product," you know. And it's not that you have the best shoes or the most comfortable shoes. They Your market is probably looking for something totally different. And so you think about that. What are they looking for? And try to craft messaging around that. Okay, someone said they can't hear anymore. I am not on mute. If you have a question, just go ahead discussing about convenience in Jackson. What happened? Yeah. So if someone can't hear me, just please speak up or put it in the chat box. But I don't. Okay, all good. Okay, cool. We're good. So there must have been one person. All right. So think about that in terms of what I'm selling versus what the consumer is really looking for. So as you start crafting your marketing plan, craft it based on what the consumers are looking for, as opposed to uh, what you're trying to sell. Right. All right. And then I hear this a lot, and this is not true. Everybody is not your target market, and because your product cannot meet everybody's needs. Uh, it's impractical and impossible to market a product that appeals to everyone. So, based on that, you have to understand that you're going to lose some sales. Some people are not going to like your product. Some people are not going to like your service, and that's okay. Those aren't the people you want to focus on. You want to focus on the people who like your product, who like your service, who like you. Those are people who are going to be willing to spend their money on your products, your services. So really think about that. Um, okay, hold on one second. This person must have some other issues, so we'll let her fix that. So really think about that and try to narrow it down. So some people try to take this broad stroke at a target market, and it's good when you're doing research, but it really is expensive and painful when you're trying to like maximize your profitability and maximize your revenue, especially during the holiday. And remember, during the holiday, everybody's trying to sell something. So you're really competing with a lot of people. And so would really suggest really thinking about honing in and fine tuning your target market. So, how do we do that? First of all, I call this demographic data like super duper old school, right? Because this world is so well connected via social media, the internet, all these different types of apps, gaming apps. You know, people travel a lot more. And so the traditional old school way of looking at demographic data just not does not work. It's to me, it's just so boring. People come to me and I say, "Who is your target market?" And they list, well, it's like 20 to 30-year-olds living in, living on the west side of Chicago, female, not married, da 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 da, working in the office. And I was like, you told me absolutely nothing about your target market, right? Uh, and that could be so many people doing so many things. You're still taking the whack-a-mole approach to target market, and that is not the way to do it. So I look at it and it's like I think about like how do you get into the minds of people and look at psychographics, which is more marketing based on behaviors, consumer behaviors. And so I was listening to a TED Talk, Seth Godin, and this is an old one, but he was talking about it's like what make people like millions of people like at the time tune in to Steve Jobs and listen to like a 1 hour commercial about an iPod, the latest iPhone. And that's what people do. What makes people stand in line for the latest iPhone? What made people stand in line for how much are those Popeyes chicken sandwiches? They can't be more than what, 2.99 or something like that. But what made people stand in line and fight each other over a 2.99 chicken sandwich? I've had it. I don't think it's a great chicken sandwich. Most people would disagree with me. But the point of it is that's behavior based. It has nothing to do with age, race. It's more behavior based. So, what message did Popeyes give the people, or what influencer told people like this is the best chicken sandwich you ever want to taste? And I can remember the days when there were cars lined up, people standing outside waiting for to purchase a Popeyes chicken sandwich. And so, once again, that has nothing to do with demographics, as it has a whole lot more to do with psychographics. And so that's where you want to be. Uh, Personality. So think about this: people who don't like go out, uh, who aren't going out would pay for a service to help them meet people, right? So we see a lot of that. Dating apps makes it so much easier. A lot of times it's great for introverted people. It's like I can sit home behind my computer and I can meet people. I don't have to go out to the bar and try to meet someone or go to the library or the grocery store. I can sit in the comfort and convenience of my own home. And if I have a lot of money, I can use it's just lunch and just like people curate my dates for me. Uh, penny pictures for attitudes. And what about the people's values? Because a lot of times people values about like the environment will keep them from purchasing a particular product, right? People's values about in this political climate, who you're supporting as as a political candidate influences people's purchasing habits. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. So think about all these things. What are their interests and hobbies, um, lifestyles? uh and then like even when behavior, people purchasing luxury brands. So I do know, and I hope nobody gets mad at me for saying this, but I there's a lot of social media influence things that go on in terms of people buying, right? But this is marketing, is the pure truth. And on social media, people want to be like other people. They want to be able to post great stuff. So people spend a lot of money on travel so they can show their pictures of them in Dubai and Greece because their friends and the people they're connected to did. When it comes to weddings, people spend a ton of money on weddings only to get divorced 6 months later. I call them social media weddings because they're really doing it not for themselves, but they're doing it for the crowd, right? So think about that as you start thinking about your marketing. What what is getting people to pay attention to messaging? What makes them say, I'm interested in that? And so your marketing has to do that. So secondly, I tell people, and I do this all the time, I very rarely post on social media, but I'm always on social media looking at people, looking at behaviors, understanding what people are doing, what they're saying, why they're saying it, and what they're posting, why they're posting it. I read the comments to understand like how are people thinking when someone posts something, whether it's either it could be something heartwarming, it could be something controversial. What are what are the responses? Are they getting likes? Are they getting heart emojis? I look at all this, I collect this data because it's really important as you start thinking about your goods and services, what others are thinking and how they think and how they react to stuff. And so it's really good to be connected on other channels and other pages where stuff very similar to your business is going on to really help you understand what people are thinking and how they behave. And once you get a good feel for that, um, it makes marketing to people so much easier. And I'll just give a really quick story as some of you may be familiar with Sunshine Enterprises. And years ago, I was the managing director of their entrepreneurship program and I helped build it. And so when I started with the organization, they were trying to do this community business academy and they had about 5 people come to an information session. And I immediately said, "You're doing it all wrong." And it's like, what are we doing wrong? I said, "I can get you 30 people at an information session." And it's like, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And I said, "Well, what people there's a lot of business training going around, but what people are really interested in is money, right?" And I said, "We have funders. This program costs money. We have funders who basically said for every person that we give, that we put into the program, they'll give us $3,000 to cover tuition for that person, right?" Yeah. So I said, "Well, if we market as a business training grant of $3,000 per person, I can guarantee you that people will then start signing up." And so they tried it. And the first info session, we had about 40 people show up because they wanted to know how they could get that. And we explained to them it was a training grant. People's like, "I'm cool with that." They signed up, right? And a lot of business owners have been successful going through that program. So sometimes it's just really how you craft your message to understand what will get people's attention and what will get them excited. And so, in the world of small business operations, grant is a word that will get people up, looking, ready to go. And if you don't believe me, I'll post on social media. I have free grants for everybody, and 1 million people will like knock down my door. Since I don't, I won't. But I can guarantee if I did that experiment, a whole lot of people would be knocking on my door. So really think about that. And what are those? What are the phrases, the words, the terms that people are really interested in terms of getting them connected? It's almost like search engine optimization, right? So if people are searching for something, if you have the right keywords, they'll find you. If you don't, they won't find you. You have to do the same thing in your marketing. All right. So let's get down to how do we take all of that information that I've just presented to you and how do you create an effective holiday message? So, first and foremost, I always tell people holidays are festive, but they're also emotion driven. And you'll see a lot of that if you take a step back and just start looking at a lot of the commercials and advertisements around holiday. It's about family. It's about people coming together. It just really is about that joy, love. It's the giving season. Most fundraisers happen during that because they know that this is the time of year everybody's going to open their wallet, they're spending, and they're not going to even like think about it until they get the bill in February, and it's like, oh my goodness, what have I done, right? But so marketing, you have to play on those emotions and understand how to tap into that. Secondly, from a business standpoint, clear offers. You know, people love discounts. They love free shipping. You may offer gift wrapping. You may even do it as an extra cost, right? But these are the things that make life easier. I'm the type of shopper, I'd rather just go online and I say, I want this, this, and that, wrap it up, ship it to my house, have it there in 2 days, and I'm happy those, because I'm usually starting on December 21st, right? So I want responsiveness. I want everything done, and I want to place it right under the tree like I went out and did all the work myself, right? So, but having those things available to people makes life a whole lot easier. Uh, Creating a sense of urgency is great for everything. You nothing should go on forever. If you want to, if you have a call to action, you want people to react immediately. Give you a good example. You go buy a car. When you go into that car dealership, the first thing they do is they take your, they want your driver's license, right? Because they are first, they want to know who you are, but they will not let you leave until you bought a car from them or you like storm out the door, right? Because they know that they have a short amount of time to make that sale. And as a small business owner, that's the same thing. You want to make that sale. You want to create a sense of urgency. This will go away. The offer I'm giving you now is the best offer. If you come back 3 days from now, it's not going to be there. Now, if you look at the furniture stores, they have that special offer every week. It just changed the name of the sale. Um, but you can do that too. But it's best to always create a sense of urgency and really stick to it, because if you don't stick to it, then people are going to know your game, and then they're just going to wait it out, and they may not purchase from you. And then personalization, especially if you're a small business owner, just when you should always send nice thank you letters to people. And they don't have to be so personalized and so individualized, but you can have a thank you letter that you can add one line to it that personalizes it. A standard thank you letter, add one line to it that personalizes it, that let people know that you really appreciate their business. You're friendly, you're approachable. You know, if they have any questions, please call us. Those types of things mean a lot to to uh, to the consumer. And so, as a small business owner, you should make sure that you do that as well, because that really helps. And to me, I love patronizing small businesses, and I love that level of service that I get from those small business owners. All right. So, and that comes to creating timeless messaging. Um, I have never driven down my street and saw a Lexus with a bow on it for Christmas. I'm sure somebody has emulated this commercial and done so for their significant other. So far in my 60 years of living, no one has done it for me. I'm hoping maybe one day it happens, but I'm not going to place any bets on that. But if we really think about those Lexus commercials, everybody now wants a gift wrap big bow put on the top of their cars. And you'll notice too that some car dealerships do offer that now, even not during the holiday season. That they throw the bow on top of the car, and you bought that for your wife, and she can, or your significant other, and they can stand next to it and take that picture, and you can post it on social media. So look at me, I'm just like the Lexus commercial. And then we talk about emotions, and a lot of you are probably too young to remember this commercial, but this is the I like to teach the world to sing Coca-Cola commercial, very emotional. And this has turned out to be one of the most iconic holiday commercials of all time. And as you can see, not only it promotes unity, because there's the Coca-Cola on the right hand side is not even an American Coke, and because the language is different. And so think about you in terms of your messaging. Is it something that you're creating that people remember and people want to emulate from here on in, right? And so the Coke commercial was back from the 1970s. And I believe the Lexus started these commercials probably in the late 80s or something like that, or early 90s. So long ago, I don't remember, but they created some very timeless messaging, and it resonates with people forever. And they could play this Coke commercial this Christmas, and it'll still have the same heartwarming, same message that was intended years ago, because it's still relevant. And then who doesn't like getting a gift wrap car with a big bow on it? So those are things that you think about as you're creating your holiday messages. How do you make them timeless? How do you make them resonate? How do you stir emotions inside of people? Because these are already emotional holidays anyway, and people are going to allow themselves to be a little more vulnerable in terms of the emotions, because the holidays do bring that out. And so, uh, create and craft messaging and products and services and packages that will help you get that message over to people and help them understand your message. Now, we're going to get to what I call in the data world, kind of the most boring part of my presentations. And we're not going to get deep into the data side of things. But I always tell people, the numbers will tell the story. So let data drive your efforts. So, and when I talk to people, and we had in one of my projects, we had we had a debate on like who our target market is. And I kept saying no, and they're saying, Shelby, you're wrong. And I'm saying, I'm not wrong. And that's like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And at the end of the day, I said, don't tell me I'm wrong until you come back with data showing that I'm wrong. Because if you come back with the data, I will admit that I'm wrong. Uh, I'm still waiting on the data. I may be wrong. I don't know yet, but I'm willing to admit it. But also, I like to give my staff the exercise in terms of don't just come to me and say, "Oh, I think this is the case," or "I feel this is the case." Tell me that the data shows that this is more than likely where we need to go, right? And this is why. Look at this trend. Look what's happening here. Just like when we go back to the slides where what do people want? People want money. What is the number one people think of giving? They're giving money. Okay, that makes sense. I can work with that because we have data. So, but data has to drive your business and drive your marketing efforts. And so, one of the things that I look at, um, marketing return on investment. So, one of my staff members, I'm working with them. We were spending like $200 a month on Facebook ads, and I said, how effective are they? And they said, "Oh, it don't matter. We're only spending $200 a month." And I was like, "It does matter. I mean, for us, it's not a lot of money, but it matters because it's money that we're blowing on something we don't know what the return is, right?" And so anything that I do, whether it's marketing, whether it's product development, I want to know what the return on investment is. And it's really how much you're making from what you're spending, right? And so who wants to make investments and lose money on anything? So it should be the same way with marketing. And so you want to know if it's successful. And there's a lot of reasons you want to know it's successful. So number one is you don't want to spend money on something that's not working, right? Now you could spend some money and try it, and maybe it doesn't work. But that's a good understanding that early on in the game before you spend a lot of money is a good investment. Continuing to spend money on something because it's not working isn't, and you know it's not working, is not a good investment. That's not paying attention to the data. So, um, what is that? What is the benefits of understanding your return on investment? Number one, as I said, you can know if your marketing strategy is working. First and foremost, if nobody's clicking, nobody's buying, that's some things you want to know and you want to adjust. When you think about distributing ad budgets, in some instances, it could be cheap cost per click. A lot of people are clicking, but nobody's buying. In another area, it could be a very expensive cost per click, but more people are buying. So you're getting more a more efficient uh, return on investment. So that way, you're spending a few more dollars, but you're making more money in return. So that's a good return on investment. You can even spend less money on something that's not effective, and and it still doesn't matter if it's not effective. It's not effective, right? And then to hold yourself accountable, because as marketers, we spend a lot of time and energy on stuff. So I even look at it. A lot of people spend tons of time on Facebook, promoting their products, promoting their services, and I had to ask them, it's like, is it really working? And in most instances, no, it isn't. But why are you doing it? Because people say that's what I should do, right? They said I should be out there on social media. I should be out there promoting my products. I should be out there talking about my products. You should, but you should be talking about it to the right audience. About your product to your Facebook friends or Facebook connections is really not necessarily your target. Probably isn't your target market. It's like more than likely isn't your target market. So why are you out there giving out a message constantly, consistently, spending a lot of time on messaging that you're getting no return on your time investment for, right? You'd be better off spending 5, 6 minutes crafting with, on some social media site where you can actually be heard by members of your target audience. And that helps a whole lot. And so my question to everyone is like, have you really thought about your marketing and your return on investment? And how many people think they are actually getting a good return on investment? And so just put in the chat box and say, hey, I've been doing it. I'm getting a great return, or this is something I really should consider. All right. And then this is like nobody has to really like we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this here's just a formula for calculating a return on investment and a very simple example of that. Very, very simple. But you have how many people you have interested in a product, the percentage you buy your product, average sales, and then the cost of your ad spend, and then you multiply that times 100 and you get your return on investment, right? Your percentage. And so really think about that in simple terms. If you are just doing like a straight product, and then ask yourself, am I really spending these dollars wisely? Uh, but now the other thing is, you really don't have to use sophisticated math to figure this out, because you can just look at your sales and say, man, I look at your marketing. If you're tracking your money, right? Look at the amount of money you're spending on marketing versus the amount of money you spend on sales, and think about like, am I really getting a good return on the dollars that I'm spending? If I didn't market, will I get the similar results, right? But you don't know that unless you know how effective your channels are. So make sure you're spending those marketing dollars wisely. Okay, so all right. So then this is just some examples of where we have looked at some of our spend. And one is I talked about this workforce development uh, program that I'm doing. And it actually, we don't look for, we don't necessarily look for, we're not looking for dollars, right? We're not selling anything. So we have to look at the soft benefits of our ad campaign. And so hard benefits is I sold a product. Some of the soft benefits may you created some brand awareness. You brought more people to your site, so these are things that could help you somewhere down the road. You understood a little more about who your target market was. So we spent some dollars. We didn't get sales, but hey, we really learned a lot about our target market or who we should be targeting. Those are some of the soft benefits that you can get from an ad campaign. It's really cool to have people getting out, reaching people. And actually, in this case, one is Facebook and one is Instagram, the two black ones. And as we can see here, I think one of them gave us a return on our marketing dollars. And so, but even here, we spending about 22 cents per click, which is not so bad in terms of what we're doing. And but we have to ask ourselves, do we get a good return on investment? And ours is we want people to respond to our ad. We want people to sign up for our program, but we also want the right people to sign up for our program. And so those are some of the things that we look at in terms of our marketing return on investment. So if you're working, maybe you work for a nonprofit or you're running a nonprofit and you thinking about marketing, that's the same thing. It's like, but now you have to look at more of the human capital and the more soft results as opposed to the hard results. And same thing you can do with Google Analytics. A lot of times it can give you that demographic data, but once again, in a lot of instances, I don't really like demographic data. In some places, it helps, right? And it's nice to have that demographic data. But I think for most sophisticated marketers, demographics is cool. It's kind of, to me, the necessary evil. But really think about psychographics and what type of data you're generating there to really get the best return on your marketing dollars and products. All right. So I had talked about this and I said I was going to give you guys some tips if you're behind the curve in terms of holiday marketing. So the first thing you want to do if you're last minute marketing, maximize your impact using very little money. So focus on your high return on investment channels like social media and email marketing. And so the research I was doing is like email marketing is, believe it or not, very effective. Uh, I don't see how, but I can't argue with the data because I know I usually block every ad that comes to me. However, if I know the company, I usually don't. So if you're email marketing to me and I know you, I'm not going to block you, and I may even read your advertisement. Uh, use low cost or no cost, free or low cost tools to help with graphics and promotions. And I'm gonna give you some a listing of those in this presentation. Now, and I will say, like usually when I do presentations, I use more pictures and graphics, but I know that in this instance, you may not have access to uh, uh, the entire presentation itself. So you can actually go back. You can take screenshots. You can once they put it into the YouTube channel, you can go back and all this is there, and so you don't have to necessarily hear me talk again to like have that information. Promote flash sales or limited time offers. We talk about creating that sense of urgency. Doing some collaborations with local businesses. We do that a lot as well. Partner with nearby business to run joint holiday promotions, cross promote products and services. So if there's a business who you're not competing with, they have very similar customers to you, and that may be like an added benefit for them to offer or co-offer some of your goods and services. That would be great. Bundled deals. So all those things are very more creative ways to work together and to maximize the efficiency of both businesses, and then leverage user generated content. So encourage customers to share holiday experiences. Once again, think about that. These joyful, heartwarming stories using your products would be great. You can run some type of photo contest. People, I noticed too, people like to be like challenges. So you say, hey, here's a quiz. People want to prove that they're really smart. So like, hey, if you answer these 5 questions correctly, you get like a 10% coupon off. Anything like that. But just once again, it's really about your target market. You can repost user generated content, so that it will create excitement. And I noticed too, like if people create content and you share it on your page, chances are some of their people will see it and to come to your page, and you tag them in it. So there's different ways that you can do that can make it a lot easier and a lot cheaper for you, and you don't have to put in a lot more work. And so I did my question and my request is that some of you share some of your ideas in the chat box, so some of the other folks who are watching this presentation can maybe get some additional ideas in terms of like what are some good last minute tips for holiday marketing. Okay. Um, and then we had talked about some budget friendly options for different areas and for low cost marketing. So visual content and graphics, Canva is very popular, but here's a couple of others. Email marketing, we use MailChimp a lot, but there are others, so don't limit yourself. Social media management, we use Hootsuite. Website optimization, a lot of our stuff is through WordPress. Video content creation, we usually outsource that, so I don't know exactly what products and services our contractors use, but um, each one of those I looked at, and you can get a free option or you can get like a low cost option. Now, what I always tell people is never go for the free option. Although I know as a small business owner, you feel that your money is limited sometimes, but really think about what you're going to invest in, because a lot of times the free options are very, very limited. And so one of the things I'll share which I really hate is being on a Zoom call with someone and they tell me at 40 minutes we have to jump off and jump back on because I don't want to pay like the $10 a month for like the real Zoom experience. So that to me is kind of unprofessional. So I would suggest that if there are some options that make life a lot easier for you and help you save time, to get one of the lower cost paid options. And to me, I've never regretted that. So someone just put in the chat box, Amber, is like utilize the influencers to promote their products. Yeah. People with a huge following are great assets if you build a connection with them. I certainly agree. Flash sales like the Kmart blue light specials, right? Last minute deals, that always helps. And using email marketing is good to like send out emails and tell people like, hey, you have 24 hours to connect with us and take advantage of this deal. Let's see where we're looking on time. Okay, so I always like to do some type of case study when I do a presentation, and I'm going to just do a quick example of one and some of the things that we're doing now in terms of jump hire and some of the areas that we ran into issues and that we're kind of working on for our 2025 strategic plan as I'm working with the team. And so we're now in the process of trying to really fine tune and figure out who our target market is and how do we create a message to that target market. And so one of the things that I was looking at return on investment. And I noticed that we spend thousands of dollars on this program called Easy Texting. And that allows us to send mass text to all of the people who have signed up and they're interested in our work in the workforce development program. And so I said, like, why are we spending, thousands of dollars and sometimes even in a month on texting? And I was told, like, well, the people who we are working with, they don't communicate by email, they communicate by texting. And I said, oh, that's very interesting because the people who are looking for, like employers, they don't text, they communicate via email. So are we really, the people who we're now reaching, are they really our true target market? And so we started, like, kind of breaking it down and saying, okay, one of the issues that we have seen in the program is that people are not, when employers have reached out to offer them a job, they didn't get the email because they don't check their emails, right? And so one of the things I looked at and said, okay, here's one thing we're going to stop doing. We're going to stop texting because that is creating, it's more of a, it's not creating the right structure for the people who we're looking at, and it's actually giving them a disadvantage because we're not teaching them that email is the proper way to communicate. And so we're saying we're going to meet them on their terms, but they need to meet the employers on the employer's terms. And so I cut out the texting budget from like $10,000 a year to zero. And like there's no more texting. So, and this was a great example to me of how do we, looking at our return on investment on a marketing campaign and on a communications plan, and actually is it working? And what we decided was not only is it not working properly, but we're not reaching the right target market. And so now that's causing us to do a really deep dive into who our target market is, and to then like restructure not only our entire marketing campaign, but restructuring our entire messaging as well. And so just something that simple in terms of just looking at the budget and saying like where we're spending money on, and realize that we're spending money on something that not only is it not effective, but it's also really not the target market that we want to bring in. And we're bringing, and we had 1,000 people in our system who love texting. So that's some of the things that as a business owner you have to look at and say, hey, is this being effective? And not only from say the customer side, but also from your business side, because the two has to really come together. And so as we close out, I know that two of the biggest sales days that are coming up are Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. So I just wanted to give a some tidbits in terms of how you can prepare your business for the big Black Friday and Small Business Saturday sales. And it really goes right back to what we talked about, and it's just kind of a summation, right? Creating a sense of urgency, offering discounts, but not so big that you're not making money. Or you can do something as we talk about marketing, using one as a loss leader, taking a loss on that just to get people in, and then upselling them on everything else, like most companies do. Use a lot of email marketing, using social media to really build anticipation. Hey, I have this big thing coming. I have this big thing coming. And a lot of people, they really like that stuff. And so they're going to tune in for that big thing coming. Launch early. So as I said, if you haven't launched now, you're behind. So start launching, right? And make sure that you are well ahead of that, and yet you've done that marketing and built that anticipation for those sales. Retarget the abandoned carts. So for some people, abandoned carts for numerous reasons. Sometimes they mean to come back and get, order they forgot. Sometimes they're out shopping for similar products. But when you know that there's something in the cart and it's abandoned, reach out to those folks and try to encourage them to complete the purchase. Simplify the checkout process. Fewer steps is necessary. I see now people saying, hey, you can use Google Pay and Apple Pay to check out. I love that. I don't have to fumble for the credit card. In some instances, I can, like with Home Depot, I can check out using PayPal. I like that. Upsell, cross sell, you always have to do that, right? Always have something a little more expensive or something an add on that you want people to purchase. Because one of the things is once you get them in the door spending money, you want to take much money as you can. Because if you don't take it, they're going to give it to somebody else. So as a business owner, you rather have it in your hand than in my hands. And then reward customers. So, always create some type of loyalty program. Send out, hey, you've been a great customer. Here's 20% off for tomorrow only, or something like that. But customers do love that, and they take advantage of that. All right, so we coming to a close of my presentation. I know I always love to leave a little time for questions and answers, and so in the chat box, please do that. Yes, you will have access to the recording. I'm sure they will announce it, but I know the BACP has a YouTube page, and all the recordings are available on that YouTube page. I've done this long enough to know that one. Yeah, and there it is. So someone just posted it. Yeah. And so Amber writes, she was thinking about that today. She uses emails and its requirement, but texting allows me to get access to information in a faster manner. And in a lot of instances, for business owners, it may work. So for us, it didn't work. It didn't work for that particular program that we're doing. But once again, it shows that how something can work for like one product, one service, one business doesn't always necessarily work for another product, service, or business. And that's why I always tell people, when you listen to me and you listen to other people, take out what is relevant to your business. And even some of these things are like overall suggestions on how to approach it. But certainly make sure that you use this information and fine tune it to your business. Uh, so I'm looking for ways to market my CNA program. I use email flyers, going to healthcare setting. Any more suggestions? So Stacy, what I would say to you is that I know CNA program, there are probably a lot of them out there. There's probably a lot of competition. So for me, for if I was to give you any advice, I would say first, uh, really understand who you're targeting, uh, and try to craft a message around that. And I think that's really to like take a step back instead of saying, okay, I have my flyers and I have my emails. Do you have the right message? It would be my question. And make sure that you're crafting the right message and understanding who that message is going to, because that's where most small business owners fail, to create that foundational target market. Any tips on segmenting lists? What are you looking for segmenting for? Um, Lisa, it really depends on the product or service that you're selling. So for me, I take a look at, like, and I'll go back to our jump hire program as a prime example. Um, and I, you know what? I'll switch that. I'm going to go to a for-profit business. So the beef jerky company that we that we advise, and so with them, they are a co-packer of like artisan grass-fed jerkies, right? And so when you look at their beef jerky in the market, that is just like low quality beef jerky that's cheaper in price, and you can buy for $3 a bag. And you ask yourself, why would somebody pay $9 a bag for some lemongrass infused beef jerky? Well, there are people out there uh, who are very health conscious, who still want the protein of beef jerky, but they don't want crappy food, right? So then we look at it and say, okay, this is the segment that we're looking for, and this is a segment that we want to build upon. So the segmentation, really, you take what your product is designed to do, and figure out like who are like that primary market that you want to that you want to craft a message to, and then look at it, what's a secondary market, because there's always another market that outside your primary market, that will buy it, but it's not as big, right? And so once again, without having all the data, I can't just say do X, Y, and Z, but I can tell you what the process would be. Which texting service do you recommend for mass texting? We use a service called EZ Text. Uh, so and I think that's easytext.com. So I pay the bills, so I don't necessarily know what all the websites are, but I know that's the bill we pay. And then, sorry, but there's a way to contact for help with building a nonprofit for minorities and under-resourced communities looking for job placement. Uh, the last slide, Amber, will have my contact information. Okay. So as a matter of fact, what I'll do is I will hit the last slide. Um, and it's kind of early for me to say have a happy and safe holiday season, considering what the true holidays are. But as I said, I feel that we're already in the middle of the holiday season. So I feel safe saying that, comfortable saying it. And I do wish everyone a safe and holiday season because I don't know if I will be presenting again, but I certainly always jump at the invitation to do so. If there are not any more questions, or if there may be questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. If not, I appreciate everyone coming in, sharing their ideas, uh, chatting, asking questions, helping their fellow business owners with some of their experiences is greatly appreciated. And so once again, I at this point I'll say goodbye. And if you have any burning questions, info@inurbanstrategies.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelby, for today's presentation. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, your account will reflect your attendance today. In order to obtain a certificate, you must enroll in the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, and you can do that by visiting chicago.gov/BACP certificate. Again, that's chicago.gov/BACP certificate. Today's webinar was recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. And you can also see past webinars at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Thank you for your attendance today, and thank you for today's presentation, Shelby, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.